Hi, gentlemen. This is going to be a brief run through of our second day of notes from the first days of school module in Canvas. If you would like to see this completed warm-up, you can click on the finished notes file right above the video notes, and that would have the completed warm-up. So today we are going to talk about the distance formula, the midpoint formula. The Pythagorean theorem goes with the distance formula, so we'll review that and we'll review some factoring. So the distance formula. Some of you guys might have the distance formula memorized. If not, it's okay. You can derive the distance formula from the Pythagorean theorem. So if I were to plot these points, 2, 3, here's point A, and then negative 1, 7, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here's point B. I want to find the distance between them, so I can draw a straight line right there. What you can do is you can make a right triangle where the length from A to B would be the hypotenuse of that right triangle. So I can drop straight vertically down from B and then go horizontally over to A, and I've made a right triangle. I'm trying to find the hypotenuse of that right triangle, so we can label sides A and B, and then I would have A squared plus B squared would equal C squared, and C is the length that I'm trying to find, the distance between the 2 points. Well, if I want to find A is going to be the change in my y values. So it's going to be the y2, which is 7, minus my y1, which is 3. So A is going to be y2 minus y1, which is going to be 7 minus 3. So I'm going to get 4 squared, or 4 for my A, and then I'm going to square it for the Pythagorean theorem. Then plus my B is going to be the change in the x's. So x2 minus x1, and my x2 is negative 1, and my x1 is 2, so negative 1 minus 2, I'm going to get negative 3 squared, and that's going to equal c squared. And if I complete this, I would get 16 plus 9 equals c squared, and then I would get 25 is c squared, and then remember to solve from c at this point, you would take the square root of each side, and so c is going to either equal plus or minus 5, but since we're talking about the distance between 2 points, we want positive 5. So c is going to be positive 5. So you can always use the Pythagorean theorem to find the distance between 2 points, or you can memorize the distance formula. And the distance formula is just the distance is equal to the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. That is the Pythagorean theorem. So we're getting it straight from what we just did. The midpoint formula, so let's say if we wanted to find the midpoint between those points, so A was the point 2, 3, and B was the point negative 1, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I want to find the point that would be in the middle of that line segment, I need to find the average of the x's, and I need to find the average of the y's. And how do you find the average? Well, you add them together and divide by 2. So it'll be x1 plus x2 divided by 2. That'll give me the x coordinate of the midpoint. And then y1 plus y2 divided by 2 would give me the y coordinate for my midpoint. So for here, the midpoint between A and B, we'll call that point M, is going to be negative 1 plus 2 divided by 2 and 7 plus 3 divided by 2. So it's going to be 1/2 5. And you can always check and make sure that 1/2 5 makes sense. So 1/2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that looks to be in the middle of A and B. So it looks like I got it right. Factoring review. Hopefully you guys remember how to factor, but let's just review some. So if I had x squared plus 5x plus 6, you can just factor. Remember, you want to find two numbers that multiply to the last number and add up to the middle number. So I have x plus 2 times x plus 3, because 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 plus 3 is 5. So that's just a basic trinomial. If I had 6x cubed plus 2x squared, and I wanted to factor that, they have a common factor of 2x squared, so I can pull out a 2x squared, and I would get 3x plus 1. You can always redistribute to make sure that you did that correctly, so that's if you have a common factor. We could also have a leading coefficient, so you would have an a term. So if I had 2x squared minus x minus 6, and I wanted to factor this, you can always guess and check, or you can split up the middle term. So if you want to do the game where you split up the middle term, you take the a times the c, and so I would get 2 times negative 6, and so negative 12. So I'm going to split up this middle term, and I'm going to do two numbers that would multiply to 12 And then they have to add up to the middle term, to the b term. And so my b term is -1. So I need to find two numbers that multiply to -12 and add to -1. That would be -4 and +3. Now notice what happens if I break that up. If I take -4x plus 3x, I would get -1x. And now I have four terms. So I took the middle term and I broke it up into -4x and 3x. Once you have four terms, you can factor by grouping. Group the first two, group the second two, put a plus sign in the middle, and then you just factor each of those. So I could pull out a 2x here, and I would have x minus 2. I could pull out a 3 here, and I would have x minus 2. And notice the two parentheses are identical. That's what needs to happen to factor by grouping. So now you group together the two terms on the outside, 2x plus 3, and you multiply it by the terms on the inside, x minus 2. So basically I'm distributing 2x to x minus 2, and I'm distributing 3 to x minus 2. That's what's happening here. You're distributing the 2x to x minus 2 and the 3 to x minus 2. So that's factoring by grouping, or factoring a trinomial that has a leading coefficient. So, gentlemen, let's look at B on this page. So this is a difference of two squares. So if you guys remember how to factor a difference of two squares, that's when you are subtracting in the middle. You can't do this if you're adding. And then each term is a perfect square. So this is 4x times 4x, and this is 5 times 5. So you can break this up into 4x plus 5 times 4x minus 5. So that's a difference of two squares. You can check the finish notes to make sure that you did A correctly. All right, so these are two factoring by grouping problems. I'm going to let you guys try these, and you can check the finish notes to see if you did them correctly. These are a difference of cubes, so you might not remember how to factor this. So this is a difference and sum of cubes. So they're perfect cubes. So if it's a sum of two cubes, if you have x cubed plus y cubed, when you factor it, it becomes x plus y. So you take the cube root, and then it's x squared minus xy plus y squared. And then x cubed minus y cubed, the formula is it would be x minus y, and then times x squared plus xy, and then plus y squared. So if I were going to do this, you would want to make sure that both of the terms are perfect cubes. So that's x times x times x is x cubed, so that works. And 27 is 3 times 3 times 3, so that works. It's a subtraction, so my first parentheses is going to be x minus 3. Then what you do is you take the first term and square it, and that's going to go right there. So the first term is x. If I square it, I get x squared. For the next term, you take the two terms, multiply them, but don't worry about the sign. So if I multiply them, I get 3x. And then for the last term, you square the last term. So 3 squared is 9. And then notice your signs for if it's a difference of two cubes, it's minus plus plus. So it'll be minus plus plus. I'll let you guys try this one, and then you can check it with the finish notes to see if you got it right. Just a hint, a to the 6th is a squared times a squared times a squared. I'm going to let you guys factor these completely so you can check against the finish notes. So you guys can try these on your own. Same thing here, factor completely. So after you factor once, you might need to factor again. So this one is a difference of two squares, but you might need to factor it again after you're done. So you can check the finish notes to see how you did there. Same thing with these guys. So check the finish notes to see how you guys did. So at this point, you guys have a factoring review assignment. It's in your module homework for first day of class. So if you click on that and download it into Notability, complete it, and then you guys can submit that on Canvas. Let me know if you guys have any questions over these notes.